Hello again from my front porch, where here in Iowa, actually for the first week of February, the weather is pretty good. It's in the 50s, been the last few days here, and I mean, here in Iowa, that shirt sleeve, no, we joke about here in Iowa, especially first part of February, gets up to 50, we're doing pool parties and barbecues. Now, by contrast, I have friends who live down in Florida, and family too. My daughter and son-in-law live down there. But I see friends in Florida posting on their Facebook about how it's in the 50s there, and they're talking about bundling up and turning on their furnace. It is interesting how we adapt to the climate in certain areas. My daughter now, who grew up here in Iowa with the weather here, because she's in Florida, if she came to visit here with the temperature like this, I'm sure she would be as bundled up here as she probably is down there right now. But still, it is interesting, and some of it is reality of the actual weather and how our body acclimates to certain climate conditions. But for a lot of it, it's really here. It's really a choice in what we embrace, how we are going to approach something. The whole attitude determines your altitude mentality. And there is some of that because, like, when I take the dog out to go to the bathroom now, we'll take her out, put her on a leash and take her outside. These last few days here, I'm not like this. I'm just wearing my shirt. Now, there's a little bit of a chill, especially if there's a little bit of a breeze, and certainly it would make more sense and it would be more convenient. It probably probably would just be logical for me to wear a jacket, even a light jacket. However, I choose not to because I don't feel the need. And I'm okay with a little bit of chill because overall it feels good. It's nice. I mean, there are people around here at this time now with the weather like this, who they're opening their windows and they're airing things out. It's like, ooh, spring came early. But it's a choice that I make. I could choose to be all like, oh, it's a little chilly. I think I'll wear a jacket. But instead, I'm like, it's not that bad. It's quick. We'll go out. And that little snippet of mental approach is really what I want to kind of chat about today, because I have been accused, I'll say observed, maybe that's a little less confrontational. I've been observed to sometimes be a little hard to read. And some of you will say, what? No, Paul, you're very expressive. You're very, well, yeah, in most ways. But when it comes to being frustrated about something, being upset, being irritated, even being angry, a lot of times people, if I say, well, that bothers me, the person I'm talking to might be surprised because I've not given any indication of that. Because I know, I already hear the voices, that's not healthy, Paul, you should. I get that. But I tend to internalize a lot of stuff. And I do that because I sort of weigh. I'm always thinking, there's a phrase that I learned a long time ago, and I don't even remember who I heard it from, but the concept of choosing what is your hill to die on, meaning not everything is worth fighting about. You need to pick and choose the battles. What is really worth the fight that may come from this? And when you look at things in that perspective, you begin to think, okay, well, this topic, this matter, this issue, it's not really worth that level of drama, that level of frustration that would come along with it. So, it's like water off a duck's back. Just let it go. Just don't focus on it. And so I do that with a lot of things. But again, that's a personal choice. It's how I deal with that. A lot of other people have a different choice in how they deal with things. But I want to expand that whole thing out to an even bigger picture of how we interact with other people. Because where this has come up a lot, and not surprisingly, social media again being a point of this, is how easy it is for people to become very personal, attacking, jumping to conclusions, making assumptions. And I used to think it was just because people, they're quick to make assumptions, that they like to just jump on partial knowledge and run with it. I think there is still some of that. I do. But increasingly, it seems to me that it's more a matter of an individual seeking to make themselves feel better by attacking somebody else, by making the case that this other person is a bad person, is a loser, whatever. That by me pointing out that person's inferiority, I am made to feel better. I may not look better in the eyes of everybody around me, but I feel better. And that's not new. We all know that happened. I mean, you see it in politics all the time. We're starting to see it ramp up now that increasingly a lot of politicians don't talk about what they will do if elected. They instead talk about what their opponent will do if they're elected. And it's all fear-mongering. Probably the majority of what they're telling you to be afraid of wouldn't even happen, but they need you to be afraid of that other person, so you vote against them and vote for this person instead. And I just think that is so stupid. I don't like that approach at all. Don't tell me about what the other person might do. Tell me what you plan to do, what you will do. Well, give me a reason to support you because of you, not to vote for you because I'm afraid of them. I don't subscribe to that mentality. But again, take that. I'm not trying to focus on politics. Take that. That's just an example. Take that in that broader scope of we're aware that people do this, that they tear someone else down to make themselves feel better. And the more I thought about that, the more I went back to that initial, what I was discussing here about choosing to how we're going to deal with things, how we're going to handle. And I make the choice that I don't get upset about every little thing that, or even every medium thing, or even every larger thing. I do this. I laugh. I joke. I try to deal with it. And just flush it out in other ways. But that's my choice. That's how I choose to handle that, and a lot of other people don't. And how do those people deal when they're getting a bunch of stuff, negativity, the daily garbage of life, when they're getting that thrown back, even if they're responding in kind, still that just kind of eats at you. And if you're not finding ways to let it go, to like I said, flush it out of your system, then that just gnaws at you. It's gonna eat at you, almost like an emotional cancer inside. And so then maybe, and this is just me being silly. This is or just making up my own psychological assessments. Maybe it's having all of that negativity, all of that life garbage thrown into us, that then causes people to want to try to make themselves feel better by tearing someone else down. That there is a cause and effect, or a chain of events that happen here. It's not just that some people are grouchy and so they attack. I mean, there probably are some. But it's that people are reacting based off of not a need to be negative, but based off a need to feel better about themselves. That they have just been beaten down so much, that they have just been on the receiving end of so much. Again, even if they push back, still they have received this, that they just feel the need to step up in some way, even if that means ripping somebody else apart or ripping a business apart. I see it on a couple of Facebook pages that I'm part of where people submit reviews for restaurants. And I was just talking with my friend Steve Roberts in the last episode that I did at his place. We were talking about how people do these reviews, and if somebody has a bad experience in a restaurant, boom, they are quick. Not everybody, but a lot of people are quick to go on to one of these things and say, well, this place is no good, and blah, 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 blah. And yet, a lot of them will say, well, I've eaten at this place before, but I never had service this bad. Really? How many times when you ate at the place before and you didn't have problems, did you go online and post a review like this? The odds are you didn't. Most people do not. What happens is we tend to talk about the stuff that's negative. Now, why? Why do we do that? Well, there is one school of thought that, and it's kind of that cliche, misery loves company, that when we're feeling upset, when we're feeling frustrated, when we're feeling burdened and down, that we want others to be able to commiserate with us. So it's important for us to help them understand how we feel. There may be some truth to that, but I really think I'm increasingly of the belief that what it really has more to do, whether we do it consciously, intentionally or not, that what we're really looking for is some sense of validation, some sense of personal edification, because we're sitting back, we're frustrated. These people that post the negative reviews of a restaurant, it may not even be that the restaurant itself was the problem. It could have been building up issue, like somebody internalizing a lot of stuff, and then they go to a restaurant and they have a bad experience, and that's the last straw. That's the straw that broke the camel's back, as the saying goes. And so then they tear down the restaurant. They tear down the service. They tear down the server because they want other people to see this, that by them diminishing something else, there's something in them that feels better. Could be as simple as, well, at least I may be bad, but at least I'm not that bad, without saying that. I don't know. I mean, again, I don't have any research to back any of this up. It's just me rambling. But I tell you, it's just, I never cease to be amazed at the number of people online who will make just broad, insulting statements about entire groups of people, or in some cases about just a person that they're interacting with, even though they don't know each other. I've had it happen to me a lot, where I'll post a comment. Now, if you're a public person or you're a celebrity or something, and the things you do and say are fair game, people are going to comment on those things. That's not what I'm talking about. But if someone like me, for example, goes out and comments and says, well, here's what I think about blah, blah, and somebody else replies, but not to engage in a discussion about what I have said, but instead to just go right for me, to attack me for having the audacity to express the opinion that I expressed. See, that's an example of what I'm talking about. This other person at the other end, on the keyboard at the other end, they don't know who I am. I don't know who they are. And yet here they are making outrageous assumption about me because of a comment I wrote that they disagreed with, and so they're lashing out. It's very possible that the comment I wrote has nothing to do with why they're upset or why they're lashing out. It could have been a whole string of events that came up to just before they read that comment, and something in the comment just rubbed them the wrong way, and boom, they lash out and they react, feeling the need to tear me down. Not argue the point, but to attack me, because if they can make the case that I'm stupid or I'm a moron or I'm whatever they're going to say, that there's that it helps fix something here. And I would say it's a temporary fix, because if we live on that, if you thrive on that, that will damage you. You will become that bitter, shriveled up old person that nobody wants to spend any time with. Careful. But good news is there's hope for all of us, myself included, that we can learn from these things about ourselves, and we can say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't internalize so much. Maybe I should be more expressive about things. I know I wouldn't count on it. But we all can sit back and say, okay, you know what? Here's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to be a little more mindful about these things. And we're going to try to be a little more aware of ourself, so that whatever is wrong inside ourself doesn't bleed over and then get dumped onto everybody else. The innocent people around us should not have to suffer because of the baggage we are improperly dealing with inside us. Find a more positive way, another means of getting that out, of dealing with that without taking it out on others. I guess if I was going to leave us with a challenge today, that's it. Okay, again, sorry, a little bit of a rambling all over the place, but I do think that there is a deep connection here with how we each see each other emotionally, how we see ourselves emotionally, and then how that extends into how we perceive the world around us, including other people. So, just something to keep in mind. All right, well, I'm going to get back to enjoying this actually nice weather here in Iowa. So with that, I'll see you next time from my front porch.